A very good morning, my dear children. Last class, we discussed about root system and the functions of the root. That time I told you that root has some more functions. For performing such functions, roots has to undergo certain changes. If you want to do something else, you need to change, isn't it? Yes. So such changes are known as what? Modification. So for performing extra functions, roots are getting modified. So that is the modification of root, or we can say root modification. Modification of the root. So you know for what the roots are getting modified? Yes. The roots are getting modified to store the food. First function is that, typical example, sweet potato. The sweet potato, here the roots are getting modified to store the food. Not only that, carrot is an example, beetroot is an example, radish is an example. These are some of the examples of roots that are modified to store food. So first is that roots are modified to store food. Another one, just observe the banyan tree. The tree is very big, isn't it? So you know that as it is it grows for at least for many years also. So the tree needs extra support. We know that when the normal rain or the winter it comes, nothing happens to the banyan tree because it has got a powerful root system. So that root system cannot only support the plant or the banyan tree. That time when you look at the picture, you can see that roots started arising from the branches and it touches the ground and goes into the soil. That's it, very simple. Normal roots are there already. Along with that, the root starts growing from the branches and they go deep into the soil. So two-way protection. Normal roots are there. Along with that, the root started from the branches and goes deep into the soil. Such branches are known as what? Such roots are known as what? Aerial roots. So here roots are modified to provide support. And such roots are known as what? Aerial root, and it can be called as what? Prop root. They are there to provide support, especially in the case of banyan tree, because it's a very big tree, it needs extra support. So the roots start growing from the branches and that roots will go into the soil also. So that roots are known as what? Aerial root, and aerial root can be called what? Prop root. Don't think that banyan tree is only having that prop root. Coconut tree is having the prop root. Maize plant is also having the prop root. Isn't it? Three different categories. Banyan tree, coconut tree and maize plant. All these three types of plants, tree of course is a big plant, they all have what? Prop root. So roots are modified to provide support and to store food. Hope it is clear? Yes. Now we can move on to the shoot system. Yes. You know that shoot system, I will show the one plant. Shoot system has got mainly two parts. Plant has got two parts, shoot system and the root system. Root system we have finished discussing. Now we can move on to the shoot system. Shoot system has got what? Stem, leaves, flower, you can see the bud, and look at the board, you can see some more parts, fruits are there, then what? Branches are there. So these are some of the parts of the shoot system. And shoot system mainly has got what? Stem. And stem bears what? Stem mainly bears this. Stem produces what? Branches, flowers, fruits, etc. So now we can move on to the function of the stem. First function I already told you. It bears branches, flowers, fruits, etc. All the parts that start from the stem. You can see its branches, flowers, fruits, etc. That's the main function of the stem. Not only that, the root is absorbing the water and minerals. Am I right? Then how does, which part of the plant is preparing the food? It is the leaf. Then how does it reaches the leaf? Can the leaf come to the root and ask for the water? Or can the root go there and give the water? No. Then how? Through the stem, isn't it? Stem carries the water to the leaves and all other parts of the plant. So, second function is what? It carries water and minerals. It carries the water and minerals. That is the second function of the stem. It carries water and minerals. Then, the leaf prepares the food. Now the food is ready in the leaves. All other part of the plant need the food, isn't it? Root need the food, stem need the food, branches need the food. So can all this go to the, leaf is a kitchen and get the food from there? No. Is it possible? No. Then what happens there? Again, the stem has taken that responsibility. Stem is taking that food prepared by the leaf to all part of the plant. Carries the prepared food. Carries prepared food. So, these are the main three functions performed by the stem. Stem does what? It bears the branches, flowers, fruits, etc. It carries the water and minerals absorbed by the root to all part of the plant, especially to the leaves. Not only that, it carries the prepared food from leaves to all other part of the plant. Clear about the stem? Yes. Now we can move on to the how. The stem carries the water and minerals and the food. Don't you want to know it? How is it possible for the stem to carry it? You know that in our body, we know blood is carrying all the food materials, waste, etc. But in the plant, no, you cannot see the blood. So, in the case of plant has got two tubes that can be seen inside. So, I cannot show you that now. But look at the board, you can see that two tubes. First tube is known as the xylem and second one, it is the phloem. Two tubes are there inside the stem, that is the xylem and the phloem. You know xylem, what xylem carries? It carries water and minerals. Xylem carries water and minerals. And what about the phloem? Correct. It carries the food prepared by the leaves. Phloem carries the prepared or food prepared to all part of the plant. So in the picture you can see it is denoted in two colors. Xylem in blue color doesn't mean that xylem is in blue color. Just to make you understand the difference only, it is given in blue color and the phloem in another color. So the xylem carries water and minerals from the root to other part of the plant, especially to the leaves, and phloem carries the food prepared by the leaves to all part of the plant. Clear? So stem, in the stem we can see two tubes known as what? Xylem and the phloem. Clear? Yes. Now we can move on to the another important part of the stem. You know that stem of the tree, it is known as what? Stem of the tree is known as what? Is it stem? No, it is the trunk. So the outer covering of the trunk is very hard as the tree getting older and older. You know some trees they live for 200, 300 years, isn't it? Yes. So as the years passes by, the outer covering of the trunk becoming thicker and thicker, and not only the outer covering of the stem or the trunk, outer covering of the branches also. And the outer covering of the trunk and the branches, they are known as what? They are the bark. Outer covering of the trunk and the branches, older branches, not the young branches, older branches, they are known as the bark of the tree. Outer covering of the trunk and outer covering of the older branches are known as the bark. You can see that on the board. How does the bark look like? It's very hard covering. So can you say what are the functions of this bark? Outer covering is very hard, then it can protect the inner part. You know that we have compound wall, we have the gate, we have the powerful door to protect us what? Protect us from what? Any unwanted people, strangers, thieves, etc. If the door is not powerful, anyone can enter it. But in the case of trunk, bark, it is not like that. It is very powerful. So the first function of the bark to protect inner part. First function of the bark, it is to protect the inner part of the tree. Second one, you know that as we water the normal plants regularly, are we watering the trees? No. So the trees also have to do so many functions. So they need water. Clear? So this bark protects the tree or prevent the water loss. Prevent the water loss. As the outer covering is very hard, it prevents the water loss. And one more function is that some birds as well as insects like to attack, like to feed or like to eat the trees. They will go near the trees and they will attack. Typical example, woodpecker. So, but this bark of the tree, it acts as a barrier. You know what is barrier? Tadasam. It doesn't allow the animals, birds or any other organisms to attack the tree. Another function, it acts as a barrier against all organisms. Against all organisms. It acts as a barrier against all organisms. So these are the main three functions of the bark. What is that? Bark protect the inner part of the tree. Second one, it prevents the water loss. Third one, it acts as a barrier against other organisms like insects, birds, etc. Clear? This is about the bark of the tree. Now we can move on to the other functions of the stem. You had already seen the main three functions of the stem and you know it. Then stem also perform additional functions. So for performing additional functions, what should happen in the stem? Stem should undergo modification, isn't it? Like the root, stem also should undergo what? Modification. So that is the stem modification or modification of the stem. Modification of stem. You know that root you have already seen. Root stores food, root provide extra support, isn't it? Yes. So here, same manner, the stem is modified to store the food. Typical example, potato. Potato is a typical example. Some of you have thought that potato is a root. Potato is a stem. So in the case of potato, the stem get modified to store the food and they are seen underground. Potato, ginger is another example. So you know that after some days when we keep the potato outside, you can see on the board that you can see buds there. If you haven't seen, you can ask your mother, she will show you that. You know, when we keep it aside, potato, ginger and all, you can see small buds. If you see the bud, when you bury that in the soil, it will grow into a new plant. Yes, absolutely right. We can grow ginger very easily. So ginger, just bury in the soil. After some days, we can see the plant start growing. And after some days, we can just pluck it because ginger is underground only, isn't it? So here the first modification is to store food. First modification, it is to store food. Stem is modified to store food, example potato, ginger, etc. Clear? And second situation, you know that. Now observe the cactus. What about the stem of the cactus? Is it like other stem? No. What's the difference? Tell me. It is thick and fleshy and in which color? Green color. Then could you see the leaves there? What happened to the leaves? Yes, the leaves are reduced to spines, isn't it? Can you tell me why? Yes, you know that cactus can be seen in the desert area. Could they get enough water? No. So to reduce the loss of water, leaves are reduced to what? Spines, and to protect from the enemies also. Clear? So here but still, even though leaves are not there, this plant wants to live, isn't it? Plant wants to live. So here the stem is modified to store water and prepare food. Store water and prepare food. When we cut the stem of the cactus, we could see that jelly, like water in form of jelly, we can see very fleshy because they store the water there, and the stem itself prepares the food instead of the leaves, and there are no leaves in the cactus plant. So that's another modification. Stem modified to store water and prepare the food. And in the case of, look at the board, you can see the grapevine and the bitter gourd and all. You know that, as I told you earlier, the place from where the leaf arises, it is known as the node. So here you know that the bud, near the node we can see the bud. That bud arises to form the branches. But in the case of these plants, as I told you, they are climbers. The stem is very thin and weak. So here this bud, it develops into what? It develops into tendril only. Then they coil around the support. You can see it on the board, and they coil around the support. Some of you are growing that in the vegetable garden if you're having it. Then you can see it how they coil around the support. Wherever they find the support, they try to coil chuttura around it and they grow it. So here the stem, actually the tendril, only it is a stem only. So the stem changes or modified into form tendril to support the plant. Otherwise this grapevine cannot stand straight. It will collapse or it will fall down. To prevent it from collapsing, then to provide it support, they changes into what? Tendril. To provide support, stem is modified to form tendril that help the plant to coil around the support. Clear? Yes. So these are the 3 stem modification. First one, stem is modified to store food. Example you had already seen. Second one, stem stores water and prepare the food in the case of cactus plant. Next one, stem provides support in the case of grapevine and the bitter gourd. Other gourd also, climbers, majority of the climbers we could see the stem that changes into what? Tendrils only. Clear? So today we have already discussed about the root modification. 2 modifications are there. Tell me, root modified to store food and to provide support. Next we discussed about the function of the stem. Tell me what are they? Stem bears the branches, flowers, fruits, etc. Then stem carries the water and minerals. Stem carries the food prepared by the leaves. Then we discussed about the bark. It is the outermost covering of the trunk. Hard outermost covering of the trunk is the bark. And we discussed the functions also. Then last we discussed about the stem modification. 3 modifications are there. Stem modified to store food, stem modified to store water and prepare food, and stem modified to provide support. So I hope everything is clear. So as I used to say every time, read the textbook, do the work. Until we meet in the next class, it's bye from me children. Take care. Bye.